his own set of rules. It has been the year of Doug Flutie in the CFL. He's been good enough to have his team contend with Calgary and Edmonton for first place until season's end. Today, the Lions would like to stay atop the Western Triangle. Their team is out of the playoffs, and Saskatchewan fans remain faithful, but many of them have had trouble getting to Taylor Field today because of snowstorms that surround Regina, and we're expecting one here. Welcome to Regina, where they may not cheer for the CFL's outstanding player in waiting today, but they'll certainly respect Doug Flutie if he can lead his lines all over Taylor Field the way he has most every other CFL field. He's the reason the Lions are in the hunt for first in the West, and they need a win today to stay there. Here is Don Whitman with Joe Galat.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. Well, this will certainly be remembered, Joe, as the year that Doug Flutie rewrote the CFL record book. But when you compare him to Kent Austin, you wonder where the Saskatchewan Roughriders might be if Austin had been completely healthy all season.
Well, the 6 games that Austin missed certainly didn't help out the Saskatchewan Roughriders' chances. But Austin's a different kind of quarterback than Flutie. He loves to do the 3-step drop, the 5-step drop, throw the ball quick. He's not a play-action, pass, scramble guy.
Flutie makes things happen. So many times it appears as though Flutie is trapped, makes things happen. Austin, of course, is more of the drop-back quarterback. Flutie, with his scrambling skills, certainly makes things happen on the field.
Yeah, unlike Austin, Flutie likes to buy time. What he'll do is he'll be the most dangerous when he has play-action passing, when he has the bootlegs, and when he buys that time, he's the most dangerous and does the job.
In addition to the 35 touchdowns he has thrown for, Flutie has run for 14 himself. Scott?
Don, for the first time in 250 games, Saskatchewan's Roger Aldag is watching and not playing today. His career in limbo because of a knee injury, and he'll join us on Live at the Half. You'll meet the 4 men who took their places in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton last night. And we reached out to the world of academics for somebody to explain to us what might happen should there be a 3-way tie for first in the West Division at season's end. That's all on Live at the Half. The kickoff is up next at Taylor Field in Regina.
It's a very cool afternoon at Taylor Field in Regina, a temperature of -2, and the heavy snow that was in the forecast for this afternoon has started falling at Taylor Field. Bob Obilovich with an opportunity to lead his BC Lions to a first-place finish in the West with a victory today and in the final game of the season next weekend against the Hamilton Ticats. Don Matthews has an opportunity to play the role of spoiler against the BC Lions this afternoon and next week against the Calgary Stampeders as the Roughriders, out of the playoff picture, wind up their CFL season on the road. Saskatchewan kicking off to the BC Lions. Darren Flutie takes the ball up to the 54-yard line on the kickoff return, and with that strong wind at their backs, the BC Lions will have excellent field position for their first offensive series.
When you have strong wind like that, Don, sometimes you reduce yourself to a good offense in only 30 minutes of the ball game when you have the wind. But I don't think Doug Flutie's that kind of quarterback. He'll find a way to get things done with or without the wind.
Peter List holds the CFL record for most touchdowns in one season, 40 in 1967. The toss to Volpe, and Volpe continues struggling and gets inside the Saskatchewan 50-yard line. It appeared, though, he was stopped initially and then kept on fighting to the 49. Glenn Suter came up from his safety position to make the tackle.
Well, Volpe's going to be a key. Doug Flutie's got to be able to hand off to Volpe and get that kind of yardage. So watch for Ray Alexander. He only needs 4 more catches to break Murph Fernandez's record.
Murph Fernandez holds the BC team record for receptions in one season with 95. Same play, the toss to Volpe, and Volpe gets to the outside and picks up a first down as he lugs the ball to the 37-yard line, forced out of bounds by Doug Brewster.
Well, they're going to have to get some help. Gary Lewis is the guy that does the job up front, and they're going to have to get penetration, but the help they need is Eddie Lowe coming out like he did that last play and make some tackles. He may have to make them a little sooner, and Albert Brown's got to hold up against good wide receivers in Ray Alexander and Darren Flutie.
2 plays already in this football game, and number 22 has not thrown a pass. 1st and 10, the ball at the 35. He hands off again. Skinner, the ball carrier, fighting inside to the 30-yard line. Gary Lewis was there to make the tackle. A pickup of about 6 yards. James King also assisted in bringing down Chris Skinner.
It's an interesting strategy starting out with BC because they have been so effective throwing the ball. They've got 3 receivers over 1,000 yards. But hey, we all know what Volpe can do. Don Matthews has tried to design something that can stop John Volpe's running.
Darren Flutie and Matt Clark and Trevathan go wide to the left. The toss to Volpe. Volpe cuts back inside. He'll be stopped short of a first down by Eddie Lowe.
That's what they have to do. They've got to be able to have Eddie Lowe key on Volpe, be able to stop the running attack and keep it into those short yardage situations. Now they got to go for a field goal, and this should be a chip shot for Louis.
Lou Pasaglia, the CFL's all-time leading scorer. His longest field goal this year, a 54-yard attempt. This will be a 34-yard attempt. Movement at the line of scrimmage. The kick is up. It is good. No flags. There was movement at the line of scrimmage, but apparently the Saskatchewan player got back. And Lou Pasaglia puts the Saskatchewan Roughriders into, or the BC Lions into the lead with 12:39 remaining in the opening quarter.
That's a sucker shift, and Louis upset that he didn't get that. He wanted to do it. The linemen just snapped down like they're going to be in their stance, and that gets the defense jumping, and it worked pretty well because Chris Thieneman jumped off sides, but I guess he got back in time.
Saskatchewan going against the wind, opting to scrimmage. 1st and 10, the ball at their own 35-yard line. Austin attempting the screen to Orville Lee. It's incomplete. We talked earlier about Kent Austin and the fact that he missed almost 6 full games this year and still has thrown 32 touchdown passes.
Kent Austin is one of those kinds of quarterbacks that reads the defense. He's like a coach on the field. I mean, he attends all the coaches' meetings, watches the films, and when he's on his game, he throws quick.
Bob Obilovich said he has a great deal of respect for Austin because of his ability to read defenses. You have to try and confuse him and take him out of his rhythm. Orville Lee, the ball carrier on 2nd down, stopped and driven back. Derek McCready, along with Stu Hill, in on the stop. Something that the BC Lions feel they can work on today is the mismatch that the Saskatchewan Roughriders present with Orville Lee and Willis Jaycox at those running back positions.
Yeah, the size mismatch is there, so they've got people that can run on one-on-one on linebackers, but haven't thrown the ball.
Pretty good kick into the wind by Lazecki. Norman Jefferson has nowhere to go. There are also penalty flags. 11:36 remains in the opening quarter. 3-0, the BC Lions lead.
It's the time of year on the prairies when we can have Indian summer or winter, and we have winter today. Practice was not possible for either team on an icy Taylor Field yesterday, unless you call this by the Saskatchewan Roughriders practice. They cleared the field of snow that fell overnight. The Lions didn't even attempt to work out. It's kind of what the Roughriders were hoping for game day because they feel it favors them over a team that plays its home game indoors. And Don, I say with authority from field level, it could get ugly before this day is over.
Well, the snow began falling early Saturday morning. There was some rain earlier this morning, but with the drop in temperature, more snow is falling. and it's beginning to accumulate on the playing field once again. 1st and 10 for the BC Lions. They are at their own 31-yard line. First pass of the game by Flutie, and he finds his brother for what should be a first down, BC. Stacey Hairston came over to make the tackle. Doug Flutie, 6 times this year, has been named the CFL's Offensive Star of the Week. Darren Flutie picked up that award on 1 occasion.
Well, it's a Flutie Brothers award, it seems like, and Darren Flutie is one of those receivers that was likened to Brian Kelly. I mean, he finds a way to get open.
1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. Flutie did not throw at all on the first offensive series by the BC Lions. Now he fires 2 successive passes. The first to Darren Flutie, this one to Ray Alexander, who is the BC Lions' leading receiver, and this is his 92nd reception of the year.
Now he's 3 away from Merv Fernandez. He makes a nice clean break. That's 2 outcuts that Flutie has hit on.
1st and 10, BC. The ball at the 54 of Saskatchewan. 4 receivers to the right. Little swing pass to Volpe. And you see the problems that the players during the course of the day are going to encounter with the slippery conditions here at Taylor Field. Eddie Lowe came over to make sure that John Volpe stayed down. What a year he has had in his rookie season as a running back for the BC Lions. Number 3 in CFL rushing statistics, 1,195 yards coming into this game.
That's a flood to that side, and they wanted to set up a screen like a slip screen, but Volpe's a West Coast guy. He's not used to the snow.
2nd and 15. Flutie over the middle. Ray Alexander can't hang on at the 40, and the BC Lions will be forced to kick it away.
Oh, that was a perfect pass by Doug Flutie, and he read the defense, and that was just a straight drop back. You didn't see Flutie do a lot of scrambling or play pass. He just put the ball on an in cut to Alexander, and the ball went right through his tactified leather gloves.
He had to reach out for that Flutie throw and just couldn't pull it in. I'm wondering what effects the wind might be having on some of those passes.
I think it has an effect. I think Glenn Suter also has an effect because he's been known to hit a few receivers when they come over the middle.
Pasaglia's first punt of the ball game. Willis Jaycox waits for it. The ball will bounce into the end zone, and it will result in a single point for the BC Lions. A booming single by Lou Pasaglia makes it 4-0 BC. 9:31 remaining in this opening quarter. That was a 70-yard Pasaglia kick. Scott?
Don in Hamilton, the Argonauts and Tiger Cats are in the first half. The Ticats charged to a 20-0 lead. Then the Argos got on the board when Darryl Clack took this pass from Ricky Foggy and took it all the way for the major score, about 45 yards, and Hamilton led 27. Now the Argos have added a field goal, and it's 20-10 in the second quarter. Remember, last week Hamilton beaten 68-14 in Winnipeg by the Bombers. Different story today.
And the Toronto Argonauts last Sunday clinched first place in the East with the punt return touchdown by the Rocket that gave them a win over Calgary. Enough unnecessary roughness call against Saskatchewan after the point was scored. So as a result, the Roughriders are forced to scrimmage from their own 20-yard line.
Well, Lou Pasaglia, we got to give him a lot of credit. He fielded a very high snap from center and got the punt off, and now he's got the team with 1 point, and they've got Saskatchewan back on their own 20-yard line against the wind. Good play, Louis.
When these teams met on August the 21st here at Taylor Field, BC won by a score of 50-47. Willis Jaycox trying to utilize his speed and get to the outside. He picks up about 4 before being stopped by Stuart Hill. On September 21st at BC Place, Saskatchewan won 49-47.
Well, Kent Oskin has Willis Jaycox in the backfield, and that's where he played in university, so he's used to that. But watch Austin looking for Jeff Fairholm down the middle.
Jaycox managed to pick up 4 yards. It's 2nd and 6 from the shotgun formation. Austin looking to the sidelines for the newcomer, Tracy Martin. It's incomplete.
Yeah, he wanted the curl pattern, but Norman Jefferson was right on top of him, so Austin had a little trouble throwing against that wind. There's a guy that has had 6 touchdowns rushing, and guess how many yards rushing he's had?
Not many.
5. 5 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns rushing. That's quite a statistic.
Lozecki's short punt. Trevathan fielded it. Penalty flag on the play. It will almost certainly be a no yards call against Saskatchewan with 8:33 remaining in the quarter. Weather conditions, which were not good to start with, have deteriorated rather rapidly since this football game got underway. The wind has increased in velocity. The snow continues to fall. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders find themselves in trouble back at their own 27-yard line after the no yards call on the 3rd down punt. The fake toss to Volpe. Flutie throws complete to Darren Flutie for a 1st down at the 11-yard line.
Excellent play by Flutie. What he did was he faked the toss, and then when he came out, he was looking all the way. And Coach Ovilovich loves to get that play on the outcuts. What they wanted to do, these two guys came out, faked the toss, but Volpe came out, draw the action of the defense. Watch Flutie now. He's clean. He's out around there clean. He's got a chance. Just take his time and get it down to his brother. There's my brother.
1st and 10, BC. The ball at the 11-yard line. The BC Lions leading by a score of 4-0. Volpe was tackled, flipped it back to Doug Flutie, but the whistle had already gone. Brewster grabbed Volpe for a loss on the 1st down play that originated at the 11. They'll spot the football back at about the 18, so it'll be a loss of 7. 2nd and 17, BC.
Well, Brewster's in there. He's playing run all the way, but Volpe, I think he got that thing before he was down. Flutie's saying, now don't start tackling people when the whistle blows.
2nd and 17. Alexander makes the catch at about the 4-yard line. Stacey Hairston prevented Alexander from getting to the end zone. I don't think he'd have made it anyway, as he had to go down to haul in the throw from Flutie.
He did a good job of concentrating. He had to rip away. He got away from Hairston, and he concentrated all the way down in. And that was a nice throw. Against the wind, it's tough to throw a football, but sometimes with the whipping wind, and look what happened with Albert Brown and the Flutie brother.
The BC Lions are gambling on 3rd down. Flutie on the option, tosses it out. Volpe lost it, it's still loose, and it's recovered by Saskatchewan. Right at the goal line, Stacey Hairston pounced on that loose ball. It bounced away from Volpe. Volpe got another shot at it, but he couldn't pull it in, and Stacey Hairston did right at the 1-yard line.
Well, the ball was catchable. I mean, Volpe had a chance at it. It was about chest high. It's a blind toss. He just mishandled the ball.
But you'll see the ball come back to him. He takes another shot at it. It rolls to the goal line, and there's Hairston to scoop it up.
In all fairness, we saw those flags whipping around, and I think any ball that's in the air is a little bit hard to judge, with or without the wind.
1st and 10, Saskatchewan. They are at their own 1-yard line. 5:58 remaining in the opening quarter. Intercepted by Jefferson, intended for Narcisse, and just as quickly as the Saskatchewan Roughriders put a halt to the BC Lion drive, they give it right back to the Leos. 1st and 10 from the 21-yard line on the interception by Norman Jefferson.
Well, they looked conservative the first time they had the ball, and then they came out this time, and Austin puts the ball up from his own 2-yard line, and Jefferson just took it away from Narcisse. Narcisse has got to fight for that ball and not let him catch it. You got to go on defense as soon as you see a defender grab the football. Nice play by Norman Jefferson.
1st and 10 BC, 5:37 remaining in the opening quarter from the 21 of Saskatchewan. Flutie looking to run, now trying to throw, loses the football. Saskatchewan gets it back.
Well, it's anybody's game in this kind of weather, and Basil Proctor came up and slammed that holding arm. When you have an arm holding the football and somebody slams it into your ribs, he knocked the ball loose. And that made a big play. Nice play by Brewster on the fumble recovery, so it's right back to Saskatchewan.
3 plays, 3 turnovers. There is the ball being stripped from Flutie by King, and Brewster is alertly there to pounce on the loose football. 1st and 10 Saskatchewan. The Riders at their own 23. Intended for Orville Lee. He was already down. It will be 2nd and 10.
I think it was a completion down. He threw it to him, even though he was down. Alertly threw it to him. I don't know if Don Matthews drew that one up exactly that way, but Austin's in a little bit of trouble here because Hill's on him. Stu Hill's in on him, and he just throws the... Hey, no, it wasn't a completion. He couldn't catch the rebound.
Orville Lee returned to the Rough Rider lineup. His first game of the season, October 6th versus Ottawa. From the shotgun formation. 2nd and 10. Pass is complete, but it will be about 3 yards short of the first down. Jeff Fairholm on the receiving end of the throw. Ken Petway made the tackle.
I think the problem that Fairholm had was that he was trying to get that forward momentum going, but he was being well covered by Ken Petway. There's a bump, and that kept him from making the first down. That's, well, it's a little bit tight coverage, I think you'd call it, but that's a nice picture. Petway did a good job of coverage there.
3rd down kick by Lezecki, another short kick. Norman Jefferson mishandled the football, but I think that Mike Trevathan may have flopped on it with 4:16 remaining.
Fumble on the play recovered by...
They're not much closer to deciding first in the West than they were in Week 1. If BC loses this game and Calgary beats Edmonton, Stampeders will have first. That's one of several possibilities in this wild West Division race. On Live at the Half, someone much smarter than I, Don, will explain what could happen.
Very complicated trying to unscramble all the possibilities in the CFL. As far as the final standings in the West are concerned, Doug Flutie throwing to Darren Flutie. That's another first down at the 39-yard line of Saskatchewan.
Well, there's a typical Saskatchewan Rough Rider fan, and you know what he's saying? Bring on those West Coast guys, but Doug Flutie's not from the West Coast. Neither is Darren Flutie.
They have played in some miserable conditions in the past at Boston College. Probably not quite as cold as this, however. Penalty flag on the play. Matt Clark hangs on at the 23-yard line. He was hit by Suter. There are penalty flags back at the line of scrimmage. Offside against Saskatchewan, so I'm sure that the BC Lions will take the gain and a first down.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 4. Declined. First down.
Albert Brown guilty of the offside. 3:46 remaining in the opening quarter. So far, Don Matthews has watched his defensive team limit the Lions to just 4 points. But the Lions are threatening again. 1st and 10. The ball at the 23 of Saskatchewan. Fake inside to Volpe. Flutie throwing into the end zone for Darren. Touchdown!
Oh, that's just like they do it in the backyard at home. I mean, Flutie was looking strong side. He had 3 receivers over there, and he couldn't find anybody that was breaking open, so he came back to the short side, and Darren just accelerated. There's a guy that doesn't have great speed, Darren Flutie, but you know what he does? He's got competitive speed. When he saw that ball was going to be close, he accelerated. I mean, he actually pulled away from Hairston. Watch this. I mean, there's 5 yards to get the separation, made the catch.
That's an interesting comment you make about competitive speed. There are a lot of great receivers who might not be 4-2 or 4-3 runners, but when the football is in the air, they have the knack of getting to it. The 5th touchdown reception this season for Darren Flutie. In Week 14, he was named the Offensive Star of the Week in the CFL. and he scores the first touchdown of the afternoon at Taylor Field on a pass from brother Doug.
Well, that's the advantage of having your brother play on the weak side of a formation, because you know what he's going to do, exactly what he's going to do. Flutie looked strong side. He said, hey, I don't have anything there. He just switched his feet, went back to the weak side. He said, I got my brother there.
Darren Flutie joined the BC Lions in September of this year, his first game in a BC uniform, and he has been a most valuable asset ever since. 3:33 remaining in the opening quarter. It's 11-0. The BC Lions leading Saskatchewan. The Lions wind up the season next weekend at home against the Hamilton Ticats, who this afternoon are leading the Toronto Argonauts. Willis Jaycox on the return from the 15-yard line. Jaycox spins his way out to the 44. Let's bring in Scotto.
Don, in Hamilton, the weather is much more appealing for a football game, and the Ticats' first quarter lead has disappeared on this keeper by Ricky Foggy. It was 2013 Tiger Cats when Foggy took it in himself, and now 8.5. They're back on even terms in Hamilton.
Hamilton 20, Toronto 20. Here it's 11-0. The BC Lions leading Saskatchewan. Sideline pattern intended for Narcisse. The throw is behind him. It will be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, those fans are saying it's not cold here. I mean, we enjoy this.
And that will be the type of gear that a lot of football fans will be hauling with them to Winnipeg for the Grey Cup game on the 24th of November.
They're saying that's football. That's where football should be played, outdoors.
And if you're not going to be in Winnipeg for the Grey Cup game, we invite you to join us on CBC television for exclusive coverage. Willis Jaycox is punished as he makes the catch on a solid hit by Norman Jefferson.
They wanted to get Jaycox one-on-one on a linebacker, but that's not what Coach Gene Gaines, the secondary coach, had to say. They were going to go on zone coverage. Norman Jefferson came up and said, hey, you're not going to catch anything for a first down because you're going to catch it and boom, you're down.
Jefferson has made 2 key plays on the corner for the BC Lions already in this football game, stopping Jaycox there. And remember, he had an interception earlier on the pass intended for Narcisse. Sean Millington grabbing the football and downing it at the 43-yard line. That kick only traveled 23 yards, and Millington returned it 4. Flutie getting some final instructions from Coach Bob Obilovich before he heads out for the next offensive series. 2:32 remaining in this opening quarter.
BC has approximately 2.5 minutes to go with the wind, and I know they want to make something out of this. They want to get some points while the wind is still with them.
20-20, Toronto and Hamilton at halftime. That game taking place this afternoon at Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton. Volpe trying to get outside. And Volpe was limited to just a couple of yards by Gary Lewis with help from Brewster and Albert Brown. Now, an interesting statistic, when Volpe runs for 100 or more yards, the Lions this year have won all 3 games. When he is limited to less than 50 yards, they have a record of 1 win and 2 losses.
Somewhere between 50 and 100 is the magic number.
I think a more vital statistic might be how many yards Doug Flutie passes for in each game.
Or TDs.
Flutie won't get a chance to throw. Basil Proctor had a hand in dropping the BC quarterback for a loss, forcing the Lions to send out the punting unit with 1:29 remaining in the first quarter.
Well, this is tough for Doug Flutie because he's got receivers going downfield. He wants to use that wind, but Proctor came up and gave him some pressure, and then he's finished off by Thieneman, and there's no place to go. Last punt with the wind for BC for a while.
Lou Pasaglia earlier in this quarter kicked one 70 yards for a single point. This one is also going to sail deep and away from Willis Jaycox. He has to retreat to the 10-yard line, and Sean Millington is there to bring him down as he gets it back to the 16. Scott?
Well, Don, Taylor Field is very slick right now. When it's as icy as it is at this time, traction could come down to a shoe like this with an extra row of cleats on the outside, and most players have switched to this hoping to be able to get a grip on the icy field.
Scott, I would think that someone with feet that size wouldn't have any problem getting traction. What size is that shoe?
That's a 17-yard line.
Yeah, well, this is not exactly my shoe, Don. You should see my footwear. Let's have a look at it, Jim. And I'm not having any trouble getting traction.
You could stomp out forest fires with those boots. Willis Jaycox, the ball carrier for Saskatchewan. Stu Hill in on the tackle. I think Kent Austin now is quite content to try and keep that ball on the ground and take the final seconds off the clock so that the Roughriders can put their offense into gear with the wind at their backs.
Nice play by Bruce Holmes. You saw there, 51. That's quite a hit. Minnesota prospect who played with Ricky Foggy, so his buddy's doing well over across the country.
Willis Jaycox, the ball carrier, breaks one tackle, but Norman Jefferson comes up from his corner position with help from Ken Petway, and they prevent Jaycox from getting a first down, and it will be 3rd and about 3 with still 1 second remaining in the quarter. So the Roughriders had hoped to take the final seconds off the clock and not be forced to kick into the wind, but they must kick it away with 1 second left.
Well, when you got Don Matthews coaching, you never know if they must kick it. He has a lot of fake punts that they like to use. Maybe he doesn't want to kick against the wind on this occasion.
This would be a rather dangerous call, though, so deep in your own territory, and indeed they do kick it away. There's a penalty flag. I think Lezecki may have been roughed as he launched that 3rd down punt. Norman Jefferson on the return is stopped at the 41-yard line, but the penalty appears to be going against the BC Lions, which will mean Saskatchewan will retain the football.
Contacting the kicker, BC number 77, first down.
The contacting the kicker call against the BC Lions.
Yeah, here Trevathan comes in and makes some contact, and whoa, there goes the kicker. How would you like to be Lezecki on an icy field to get nailed like that after you kick the ball?
So the penalty provides Saskatchewan with a first down at the 35-yard line, and barring another penalty, this will be the final play of the opening quarter, 1st and 10 from the 35. The toss to Willis Jaycox. Wetmore prevents the play from getting to the outside. The ball came loose, but the whistle had already gone. So when we return, it will be 2nd and 10 Saskatchewan from their own 35 and with the wind at their back. Trailing by 11, the Saskatchewan Roughriders open the second quarter, 2nd and 9 from their own 36-yard line. And Austin has the wind at his back, tries to take advantage. He was looking for Willis Jaycox, and he couldn't make the catch over the middle.
The problem they're having is that they're expecting man-to-man coverage that Willis Jaycox will be one-on-one on a linebacker. And BC's not buying it. And Stu Hill's not buying it either. He put the hit on Austin, but that was a perfectly thrown ball. Austin read the zone coverage. Jaycox just couldn't hold on to it.
Mike Lezecki stands at his own 21-yard line. And he will punt for the first time in this football game with the wind at his back. Excellent kick. Jefferson at the 30-yard line looking for a block, finds one, and gets it out to the 42, and there are penalty flags on the play. James King made the stop after a 14-yard return, a 46-yard kick by Lezecki, an illegal block against the BC Lions, and that will back them up towards their goal line, operating against that strong wind out of the west.
Illegal block, BC number 19, first down.
Remy Trudell was guilty of the illegal block. Statistically, in the opening quarter, the BC Lions had a big edge in almost every department. And not surprisingly, there were 3 turnovers in that opening quarter. The field is very slick at Taylor Field. The wind is blowing. Snow was falling, but it has stopped, at least momentarily. Lions are 1st and 10 from their own 31. Chris Skinner has a gain of about 5.
That's a good job by Chris Skinner coming right outside, and I'll bet that guy wishes he were in there. Roger Aldag.
The Roughriders probably wish he was in there as well, and Roger Aldag will be talking to Scott Oak on Live at the Half. He had his consecutive game string ended as a result of the injury.
He's one of the best. I mean, he is a tough, hard-nosed football player. Hate to see him out of the lineup.
Flutie was looking for Skinner on 2nd and 5. He overthrew him, and the BC Lions are forced to kick it away.
I think Doug Flutie had a little problem on that one because he's now with the wind, and you have to adjust. That wind will make the ball sail. And John Volpe picks up a block here. He does a really good job, and that's what you have to do sometimes. Sometimes you have to go down low, pick up those guys, and Chris Fenneman, he found out about it. Chop them down is what Volpe said.
Well, Pasaglia's average of 64.5 will probably be reduced in the second quarter as he kicks against that wind. Actually, a pretty good kick by Pasaglia. Willis Jaycox at his own 38-yard line on the return. Brings it back to midfield. 13:03 remains in the second quarter. 11-0 is the score. BC in front.
It's a late start to our weekend doubleheader next weekend. Hamilton's at BC following Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night, and on Sunday afternoon, Ottawa is at Toronto in a game the Roughriders hope is a preview of the Eastern Final, Don.
The Roughriders coming off an impressive 46-20 win over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers yesterday. The team they'll face at Winnipeg Stadium in the Eastern semifinal on the 10th of November. And we'll have that game for you on CBC television. Willis Jaycox on the receiving end of the throw, taking the ball to the 49-yard line of BC. Holmes and Brigance were both in on the stop for the Lions.
Yeah, they tried to make a sandwich out of him, and I think the fans wanted to see a penalty here. They were talking a lot after the play.
The toss to Jaycox on 2nd down. He continues struggling and gets a 1st down before being stopped by Stuart Hill.
Now that's a running back. Bob Pulley was helping him out. He opened a hole, but Jaycox, he made some yards on his own. He just drugged people for the 1st down. McCready's trying to come over to help in on the tackle, but it's a little bit late. He's already got the 1st down.
Jaycox hasn't played every game this year for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's been in and out of the Rough Rider lineup, and you wonder just how impressive his totals might be if he had spent every minute in the lineup of the Riders this season. Donald Narcisse takes it out of bounds for a gain of 12 and a Saskatchewan 1st down. He made the catch in front of Lonnie Finch.
He had no place to go except where Austin put that football, and I mean, it's within inches of where he can catch it and still be in bounds. Good concentration to stay in bounds. Finch is giving him a little room on his zone coverage, and he's taking advantage of it.
Martin can't catch the football at the 20-yard line.
Well, Austin won't be happy with that because he delivered the football. He had to scramble and avoid the rush, and he put the ball in there. It was catchable.
This is only Martin's 2nd CFL game. He was acquired on August the 24th and has been on the practice roster since his first game, October 20th, last week against Ottawa. From the shotgun formation, 2nd and 10. Fairholm, the target, and it's intercepted in the end zone. Norman Jefferson with his 2nd interception of the day. He took one away from Donald Narcisse in the 1st quarter, and the end zone throw intended for Fairholm picked off by Jefferson in the end zone.
That's an unbelievable play by Jefferson. His zone was up short, and yet he came all the way back. He fell off of the coverage. Watch Jefferson come up and pull in the ball. That's not his man. That's not his zone, but he fell off the coverage, made the nice interception. Good play, Jefferson.
He has had a solid football game thus far at that corner position.
He's been doing things today. Kick returns, covering people, making tackles, and now a nice interception.
toss to Volpe. Volpe breaks a couple of tackles and gets the first down before being stopped by Glenn Sutter up at the 36-yard line.
Glenn Sutter.
Bring it home, baby.
Oh, that's where Norman Jefferson took the football over to some of his friends, and that makes the day for that youngster. That's great.
10:18 remaining in quarter 2 here at Taylor Field. 1st and 10 BC. The ball is just across the 36-yard line. 11-0 the BC Lions lead. Chris Skinner breaks a couple of tackles, breaks into the clear. Stacey Hairston drives him down, but not before Chris Skinner runs all the way to the Saskatchewan 25. A 50-yard gallop for Chris Skinner.
Chris Skinner got a nice block from Volpe, and what he did, this is Chris Skinner coming in. He'll make the break, and he knows, watch his feet when he runs. He knows how to run in bad weather on a slippery surface. Volpe leads up through, boom! Volpe knocks the guy out of the way, and Skinner's got his feet wide, and he's really going. He's not going to slip, but it slowed him down a little bit on that slippery surface.
Bishop's product with a run of 50 yards for a first down. Volpe can't go anywhere. Proctor was able to stop him, and then Proctor got some help from Brewster. A loss of about 4 yards.
He just couldn't get around the corner. Rocco Romano didn't give him what he wanted. He needed to have an angle, and Coach Matthews is going to be happy when he watches those films because Veneman didn't give him the corner. He came up hard. Proctor made him reroute, and then there's about 4 Rough Riders right on top of him.
Proctor started last week as a defensive end against Ottawa. He has been involved in a couple of key plays so far today for Saskatchewan. Incomplete. It was intended for Clark. 3rd and 14 BC.
They're expecting tight man-to-man coverage, and Saskatchewan changed it up. Flutie has to take one from Gary Lewis. Oh, he took that one right head on. That doesn't feel good. James King's a guy that's been doing a good job for Matthews. Don likes him. He's had 3 sacks. He's had an interception. Really active linebacker.
Lou Pasaglia, who has 2,505 career points, will attempt a field goal from the 35-yard line.
Well, Flutie saw the second clock. He's really upset. He wanted the ball to be snapped sooner. Somebody threw a towel back, and Doug he's a competitor. He knows that takes him out of field goal range now, and he's really upset.
It was the referee's hat that came back. Now, I think the referee's hat, the official's hat, may have blown off, and it was thrown back by one of the linemen.
There's no infraction on the play. 3rd down.
And that's the correct call.
I think you have to do that. If the hat is in front of the center and it bothers, I thought he was throwing a towel, but he threw the hat back out of the formation. That's what upset Flutie. But Doug had a good case, and he talked to the official, and it worked. The fans don't like it here in Saskatchewan, but that's smart play by Flutie.
35-yard field goal attempt, hangs in the wind, falls short. It results in a single point, and the score is now 12-0. The BC Lions leading, 7:49 remaining in the half. That young fellow is probably saying, cold weather? What cold weather?
He looks like a Ninja Turtle. I'm sure that's his inspiration.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Complete to Orville Lee. He won't get much beyond the 40-yard line as he was spun around by Morris Smith with help from O.J. Briggins.
Yeah, he wanted to do the slip screen to the sideline. Morris Smith had something else to say about it.
Kent Austin last year, all-Canadian quarterback in the CFL. That's the title almost certainly he is going to relinquish this year to Doug Flutie. I don't think there's much question that Flutie is going to win that award, although the ballots have not even been sent out thus far.
And Kent Austin was the outstanding player in the Grey Cup in '89.
He was looking for Orville Lee on 2nd and 5, couldn't find him. Lee got tangled up with Bob Poley. And the reason he got tangled up with Bob Poley is Bruce Holmes wasn't letting Poley throw a block.
Holmes smelled the screen, so what he did is he came up, he tried to get through Poley. Poley wouldn't let him do it, so he jammed him back into the ball carrier. No receiver, tough to run a screen.
Will Saskatchewan gamble on this 3rd down punt? Well, Lezecki is going to kick it away. BC was concerned that Saskatchewan, with nothing to lose, might gamble on special teams. Norman Jefferson on the punt return breaks a couple of tackles and into the clear. And then is hauled down in midfield, but there's a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. Tracy Martin made the tackle after a 42-yard return by Jefferson.
Well, Norman Jefferson isn't letting the weather bother him at all. He's looking really strong at everything he does.
However, the effort by Jefferson will go for naught as a holding call is going to bring this one back to the 15-yard line, and what a big difference that is. As a matter of fact, it's coming back to the 7.
BC number 79, 1st down.
It took place at the 15, half the distance, moves it back to the 7. Scott?
Don, 4 men honored for their distinguished service to the Canadian Football League last night with induction into the Hall of Fame. Jim Young, Norm Kimball, Brian Kelly, and Tom Hinton. You'll hear from them on Live at the Half. The top dog on the Saskatchewan Roughriders for years has been Roger Aldag. He's got time in his hands because of his knee injury. He'll join us, and we'll have an explanation from an academic over what could happen in this crazy race in the CFL's West Division.
Chris Skinner, the ball carrier, will pick up about 5 yards with 6:19 remaining in the first half. Gary Lewis involved in the tackle for Saskatchewan. 12-0, the BC Lions lead.
Chris Skinner's running that play. It's a lead play, and Eddie Lowell has got to stay behind the ball carrier. He can't overrun it like he did the last time that Skinner broke out for that long run.
Chris Skinner with 65 yards already in the ball game, but 50 of that came on 1 run. On the season, Skinner came into the game with just 160 yards. Fluty's pass. And Alexander makes the catch, according to the official.
No, he
Riders protest.
That ball skipped on the ground. He didn't make the catch, but Alexander pulled the ball up. It skipped, but Alexander did a great job of saving that slider and pulling it up. Saskatchewan's got a right to be upset, but Alexander is such a smooth athlete, he makes a hard catch. A hard drop looked like a catch.
He is credited with the catch at the 20-yard line, 1st and 10, BC. John Volpe finds some room. Goes to another 1st down as the smallest man in that Saskatchewan defensive backfield, and Richie Hall comes up to make the tackle. And Bob Babilovich doesn't feel that he got something of a break on that previous play and the pass to Ray Alexander.
Defensive coaches always say the guy behind the quarterback's going to get the ball, and that's what happened here. But Volpe knows how to run in slippery weather as well. He's keeping his feet wide, and he had good acceleration.
He's had a great rookie season for the BC Lions, the league's number 3 rusher. Volpe again. And Suter is forced from his safety position to come up and once again bring down John Volpe. But he'll be very close to another 1st down. As a matter of fact, it's close enough for a measurement.
Watch Volpe be his own blocker. This is what you tell running backs. Sometimes you got to be your own blocker. And he came up here and he said, bam, I'm going to block you, Suter, and then I'm going to make a couple, about 4 more yards. He put his shoulder down and just let him have it. What a run.
Volpe has gone over 1,200 yards for the season, and his longest run of the year has been just 29 yards.
Yeah, he's a workhorse kind of guy. I mean, you're going to get 10 yards almost every time you give him the football. Who cares if he only had 29-yard long run? They don't give him the ball all that much, but when they do, something big happens.
5.8 his average per carry. He has 47 yards so far this afternoon. Chris Skinner to the outside. He's been the big ground gainer. And you see one of the officials have problems with the slippery artificial turf here at Taylor Field.
Chris Skinner's had some injuries, and I think he's tuning up, coming back just in time for the playoffs. And he's a veteran. He's a money ball player. They call this the dash for the cash. You know Chris Skinner will be there. He can run and block.
2nd and 2, BC. The Lions have taken 3 minutes off the clock on this drive. 3:28 is the time left in the first half. Volpe gets the first down and more. The Lions got a big break from the officials on a pass on 2nd down to Ray Alexander. And as we saw in the replay, the ball skipped in front of Alexander, but the official was behind him, wasn't aware of it, and then sticking to their ground game, the Lions have taken the football all the way to the Saskatchewan 53.
You know, Jamie Terrace is the guy that made that play go. The left guard pulled through, and he made the hole for Volpe. He got Eddie Lowe out of the way.
With the ball.
Volpe again, and he'll have about 2 yards with 2:43 remaining in the first half. 8 plays in this drive as the BC Lions have taken it from their own 7-yard line to the Saskatchewan 51. They are looking at 2nd and 7. Flutie, the screen to Skinner, read perfectly by Brewster.
That's one of the better screen passes that you can throw. It's in effect, it becomes a middle screen. When Flutie sprints out, those defensive linemen start to smell a sack, and they really come in. But the thing that helped was Brewster's reaction up to Skinner. I mean, he came right up, and maybe he could have gotten some help from Leo Groenwagen. Groenwagen was blocking out.
Brewster read that perfectly. He saw that opening between the 2 offensive linemen who had their backs to him. A fake on 3rd down. Ryan Hansen loses the football. It's recovered by Saskatchewan. Bruce Boyko grabbed the loose football. The gamble by the BC Lions appeared to have first down written all over it. And the ball bounced away from Hansen, and Bruce Boyko recovered.
There you go. What happened was Boyko just was alert on that thing. Brown can't make you fumble, but I guess it did.
Pass to Orville Lee, close to a first down. Bruce Holmes made the tackle. Brewster has really played a football game for the BC Lions today.
He is real active, but I thought Hansen had the first down, and the ball came loose when he hit the ground.
The Riders in that hurry-up offense. Intercepted by Morris Smith. It was intended for Narcisse. And Narcisse makes the tackle at the 54-yard line. The 3rd interception by the BC Lions this afternoon.
Narcisse fell down. That's why Smith was out there all alone, and Don Matthews probably wondered what you got to do to get this thing working. You got the win, but watch Narcisse. He slipped, and the ball is thrown where Austin thought Narcisse would be, but when he slipped, that made the room for Maurice Smith to get the interception.
1:50 remaining. In the first half, 12-0, BC leads Saskatchewan.
And BC with some key turnovers. Their defensive secondary is doing a great job.
Flutie fakes the toss to Volpe, rolls the other way, dumps it off to Jay Christensen. He one-hands it and takes the ball to the 45, upset there by Richie Hall.
Excellent catch by Christensen. When he was running to the outside, I don't think he believed he was going to get the ball. He thought Flutie was going to run with it, and then Flutie just laid it up there. Nice soft pass. That's what Flutie does so well. He can throw a hard ball, he can throw a soft ball, or he can throw a lofter. And he threw it just where it had to be.
Jay Christensen was slated to be the Lion starting slot back at training camp, but he got hurt, giving Matt Clark an opportunity to step in, and what a year Matt Clark has had in his rookie year. Chris Skinner, a first down to the 35. Basil Proctor brought down Chris Skinner, who is looking to break 100 yards this afternoon at Taylor Field.
Jim Mills, number 66 for the BC Lions, he takes his block on James King, and he just stays right with him, and that opens the hole.
1st and 10 from the 35, 1:15 remaining in the half. Incomplete. Intended for Alexander, and he had Stacey Hairston all over him. That was a bit of a sidearm throw by Doug Flutie.
Well, Drinkwalder wouldn't let Flutie throw the football. He was right in his face. And remember, Doug Flutie's not a big guy. He had to throw it around Wayne Drinkwalder, but he still got it there. Could have been a catch.
We saw Don Narcisse slip and fall as he was attempting to run his pattern earlier, resulting in the interception by Morris Smith. Ray Alexander obviously had trouble with the footing on the far side of the field as well. 2nd and 10 from the 35. Draw play with Volpe. 1st down, BC.
This guy, he just runs with his heart. You know, if you're coaching that guy, all you can do is pat him on the back because he's going to give you 100% every play. I know Obi's happy with him. You can see the determination when he gets the football. I mean, 1 hit is not going to bring him down. 2 hits, maybe. It's got to be 3 hits for sure. When he runs through arms and legs, they don't stop him at all.
Volpe has now run for 71 yards. Fake inside. Flutie throwing towards the end zone. Intercepted by Albert Brown. It was intended for Darren Flutie. Albert Brown battled Flutie downfield, got in front of him, and made the interception.
Yeah, you say they battled downfield, and that's absolutely right. They were going neck and neck with each other, and they were giving a few stabs here with the left arm and a few stabs with the right arm. Flutie has the play fake. It worked. His protection's fine.
1-8-4-2.
That ball went a little bit to the inside. He's having trouble throwing against the wind. Flutie doesn't throw that tight spiral that Austin throws, and I think his problems are more against the wind.
So another potential BC scoring drive is ended as the result of a turnover. Orville Lee, the ball carrier, runs it out to the 21. 1st down, Saskatchewan.
Tackle made by 57, O.J. Briggins.
Oh, Albert Brown there, he's doing a good job, and he's one of those guys, I mean, he's done some punt returns, he's done kick returns, and playing well at the corner.
The Western Illinois product with his 4th interception of the season. From the shotgun formation over the head of Donald Narcisse, Lonnie Finch was the man defending for the BC Lions. Snow again falling at Taylor Field. It started just prior to the opening kickoff. Dropped off for a bit. The wind also dropped off, but the wind has picked up again, and the snow is also coming down once again. 29 seconds remaining in the half. 2nd and 10. Screen pass. Orville Lee will get 7, maybe 8 yards. Keith Poe was in on the tackle, stopping the play about 3 yards shy of a 1st down. A former Shenley Award winner is Rookie of the Year in the Canadian Football League. Orville Lee was injured early this season and has only been back in the lineup of the Roughriders for a couple of weeks. 24 seconds remaining as we await the 3rd down call. Welcome back to Taylor Field. The Roughriders on 3rd down, punting the ball away, and the BC Lions quite content to take the final seconds of the 1st half off the clock. And the BC Lions head to the dressing room, leading by a score of 12-0. Stay tuned for Live at the Half.
Around 1900, a company built America's first gasoline-powered truck. And while other companies built cars...
Makes the catch. Good hit by Morris Smith after O.J. Briggins held him up.
Yeah, O.J. came up to hold on to it. He read the screen, and I think what you see is the guys like Willis Jaycox are having trouble making their cuts because they're small, nifty kind of backs, whereas you got a Skinner and a Volpe. They love to run on this kind of a track.
Austin to Fairholm, open over the middle, 1st down. The ball comes loose, however, the whistle had gone. The whistle had gone prior to the football popping loose. Statistically, the BC Lions in the first half had a big edge. 280 net yards, 15-4 in first downs. A solid rushing game led by Volpe and Skinner with 169 yards. BC with a decided preference for the ground game in the first half. Orville Lee takes the screen, gets the first down to the BC 20-yard line.
I think they're unhinging BC a little bit by throwing those screen passes when BC is expecting them to try to go deep because they've got the wind.
Well, the fans are not only bundled up against the elements, but they're under protection, sitting underneath one of the stairwells leading up into the stands. Willis Jaycox bumped into one of his own people. Reggie Johnson managed to catch him from behind, number 93, in pursuit of Willis Jaycox.
A little bit unusual because Austin likes to throw to his slot backs, and that's the people he's getting it to the least in this ball game. Of course, Ray Elgard being out of there has something to do with it, but last week, Dan Farthing had the best receptions of any of the receivers.
Second down 10. The ball at the BC 21. Martin in the end zone can't make the catch. He was bumped going down the sidelines by Lonnie Finch. And Kent Austin is protesting to the official that there should have been a penalty flag.
Yeah, I think he did have a little bit of a case there because Finch was in the way, and what he had to do, Martin had to do a swim technique to get over and around him, but the officials ruled that it was not interference. Both people have a right to their territory. Watch, both people now are supposedly have the right to their territory, but Martin swam over top of him. He used his arm over.
David Ridgway with the field goal at 12:07 of the third quarter. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have moved to within 9. Points in 1 year. This is the 4th straight year that Ridgway has gone over 200 points. First and 10 from the 35. Volpe brought down by James King after a pickup of just a couple of yards. Tromick has just kicked a field goal. It's now 30-26. Hamilton ahead of Toronto.
We saw Dave Ridgway. He kicked a 60-yard field goal on weather conditions very similar to this.
Volpe fights his way to the 40-yard line, but he is a good 5 yards short of a first down. And the BC Lions are forced to kick it away again. And this time, Saglia will be kicking right into the teeth of that wind that is blowing from the west.
And you have to be careful. Louis has to be careful because the last time he kicked the ball low, which didn't give his coverage people time to get down there. So there's a fine line. You want to kick the ball low so that the wind doesn't have an effect, yet you still want your coverage people to have an opportunity to get downfield.
During his career, Lou Pasaglia has seen all types of field conditions. Good kick by Pasaglia. Jaycox at the 30-yard line, up to the 35, and that's where the Saskatchewan Roughriders will scrimmage first and 10 into the wind. A 40-yard punt by Lou Pasaglia. He took his time. He didn't see any rush coming, so he was able to kick the ball low, and he got a good spiral on it as well.
And more importantly, he let his people get downfield before he did kick it. And Louis, only a veteran could do that. And he's smart enough to know if they're going to rush the kick or try to return it.
10:36 remaining in the third quarter. Saskatchewan trailing by 9. First and 10. Austin to the sidelines to Narcisse. About a yard short of the first down. Stopped by Lonnie Finch.
I think they're going to work on Finch. That seems to be the game plan. They think that they can beat Lonnie Finch. You've seen him go in that direction many times. Finch has given him some room, so Narcisse catches it this time in front of him. But look for him to go deep.
2 catches today for 20 yards. Narcisse came into the game requiring 30 to go over 1,000 yards. Orville Lee spinning his way up to the 45-yard line. He should have a first down.
Those were tough yards. He really had to work to get that yardage, but he did spin out of it.
By the officials.
And it looks like the spot is going to give him the first. Neither back is very big, and that's what they need on a day like this. They need one of those big backs. Milson Jones is injured.
Just short of a first down, but there really isn't question. Any question that the BC Lions or the Saskatchewan Roughriders will go after it on third down.
This is a little dangerous, you know. You got to snap that football. You got to get that ball a clean handoff. That's tough, so it'll probably be a quarterback sneak, but Austin doesn't like to sneak very often.
Chris Giaskis, Craig Hendrickson, Mike Anderson, Bob Foley, and Vic Stevenson. Members of the Saskatchewan offensive line. It's a quick kick. The attempt by Fairholm, and it's fielded by Petway. Penalty flag thrown on the play. Fairholm took the toss from quarterback Kent Austin. Everyone thought that the Roughriders would quarterback sneak on third down.
What do you mean, everyone? Most everyone.
Most everyone.
Fairholm didn't think so.
No yards. Saskatchewan number 79. 79, first down.
So not only do the Roughriders give up the football, the quick kick does not travel anywhere near the distance the Riders anticipated, and they are penalized for no yards as well.
And more importantly, look at this kick. He didn't get it the way he wanted it. He wanted to get the top of it and make it travel. He got it up in the air, but it didn't really have that end over end that he likes on a quick kick. Fairholm can do that.
I think adding to the difficulties Fairholm had, the slippery turf, as he had trouble getting set to try and make that kick. Trevathan on the receiving end of the throw from Doug Flutie. He is forced out of bounds after a gain of about 8 yards. And what is important for the BC Lions in the third quarter is that they are using up the clock without letting the Saskatchewan Roughriders score points. 9:13 is the time remaining.
And they've only given up 3 points, so that's a plus for BC. Good strategy on BC's part. Waste that clock and keep moving the ball.
Doug Flutie straight ahead. He appears to be across the 45 and should have a BC first down. Coaches like to have the wind going home.
Well, you know what's great is to have the wind in the fourth quarter and a lead. And then you've got everything going your way. And, of course, you're facing the scoreboard. That's another thing quarterbacks like. They like to face the scoreboard, going towards the scoreboard at the end of a ball game.
Good point. And the BC Lions will be looking at the scoreboard and will have the wind at their backs in the fourth quarter. We have 8:28 remaining in the third quarter. Doug Flutie throwing to the sidelines for Alexander. It's incomplete. He was being covered by Albert Brown.
Albert Brown gave him a pop. What they're doing is that bump and run, and BC going into the football game said, hey, we'd love to see bump and run coverage because we know that we can get some things going against it. But when you got that wind and the bump and run, hey, that's a little tougher.
Number 3 receiver in the CFL, Ray Alexander, having a great year for the BC Lions. Last year, he was the Lions' leading receiver with 65 catches. Gary Lewis offside, but was it procedure or offside?
Well,
it is offside. Lewis was arguing that he was drawn offside, but the officials didn't see it that way.
Saskatchewan number 79.
well, Flutie, he was barking, so maybe he went by the sound instead of the movement, and you can't do that. Fortunately, he didn't pick Flutie up and throw him down because he's twice the size of Doug Flutie. That's a big man, and he's having a good year.
2nd and 5 for the Lions. They are at the 40-yard line. Toss to Volpe. He cuts back inside. Gets a first down to the 31 of Saskatchewan. Tackled by Richie Hall. Volpe gets some traction as he makes that cut. Others are having difficulty in trying to turn upfield, but Volpe keeps his feet under him, and he is able to make that turn. And as you said earlier, he keeps his feet wide apart.
Yeah, he cuts on that outside foot when he turns back up, and that really helps him. He's got a low center of gravity to start with. He's hard to bring down.
7:12 remaining in the third quarter. 85 rushing yards this afternoon for John Volpe. Chris Skinner picked up about 1 yard and then is thrown back by James King.
Well, that changeup usually works. They give the ball to Volpe a few times, and then when they give it to Skinner, Volpe feels like the linebackers are keying on Volpe. It didn't work on that one.
Hey, Lou. What are we going to do here?
In the two games the teams have played this year, they're separated by 1 point, 97-96. The BC Lions have a slight edge. They're not going to approach their previous totals unless we have a wild fourth quarter. Glenn Scrivener prevented Volpe from getting beyond the 30-yard line. He reached out with one hand and stopped Volpe dead in his tracks.
You know what Volpe said? As he goes up there, he says, "What clothesline?" I mean, he gets it right here, and he almost got decapitated. But Scrivener, he beat his block, and he came over and made the hit, and now that's going to be a long field goal with this kind of wind. Well, it's not going to be a field goal. I think that's a good call. I don't think Louis would have a chance with this wind.
6 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Flutie could run, or he could throw, and it's the latter, producing a first down to Darren Flutie.
Well, that's a Doug Flutie play right now. You know what he did? He came back outside. He had a chance for maybe 5 yards, and as smart as Doug Flutie is, and I think that's where people don't understand Doug Flutie. This guy is smart. He has game intelligence. He knows what he's doing every play, and he knew he couldn't make the first down. He dropped back, motioned to his brother, and then played a little me-to-you catch.
What is equally as important for the Lions is that they retain the football and keep the clock running. As Flutie fakes the toss to his right, throws to his left, and goes down inside the 15-yard line. Kim McLeod made the stop. Jay
Christensen made the play. He actually blocked 2 people. Watch Christensen throw it into this defender. And then Proctor was the first guy, and then he knocked off Beneman. So Christensen blocked 2 people and helped Doug Flutie get downfield. Oh, that hurts when you hit that ground. It's frozen. Where's the Zambonis?
The Lions have run 9 plays and have taken 5:02 off the clock. They still have the football, and they are going to be assessed a time count violation.
Let's go, Troy.
Second down, receiver.
That hurts.
The ball now comes back to about the 18-yard line, maybe the 19-yard line. It's a little difficult to see the yardage markers as the snow continues to fall at Taylor Field.
Well, they got a play from the bench, and they just didn't get it going fast enough. Not like Flutie to have a delay a game.
4:29 remaining. It was intended for Clark, incomplete. It almost looked as though the Lions were running something of a pick play there.
Yeah, they were running the pick, but Glenn Suter had something to say about it because he was on a free safety blitz, and they almost picked themselves, and I think that was the big problem because Flutie was expecting the defender to get picked off, and it looked like both receivers hit each other.
On their previous third down play, the Lions gambled and turned it into a first down. Now, Lou Pasaglia comes into the game to attempt a field goal of 26 yards.
And they wasted a lot of time, so they're in good shape.
Pasaglia's kick hangs up there, but it has enough force behind it to sail over the crossbar. And with 4:04 remaining in the third quarter, the BC Lions again lead by 12.
Radials. Now you've got control.
Able to run hit screen too.
Well, there's Darren Flutie. He's had 4 touchdowns this year, and what he was trying to do was to cross with Matt Clark and they would have picked the defender. Unfortunately, Matt Clark got picked, and he was the intended receiver and was nowhere near the ball.
Saskatchewan 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Wetmore got through. The ball comes loose. But they are saying that Kent Austin was down, and the whistle had gone before Wetmore brought him down. 31-29, Hamilton leading Toronto, the Ticats, with a single point in the fourth quarter. A field goal by Edmonton after an 8-yard touchdown run by Tracy Ham as the Eskimos leading Calgary 10-6. Austin looking for Martin over his head. 3:19 is the time remaining in the third quarter. 2 and out for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And we talked at the start of the telecast how the BC Lions felt that with Orville Lee and Wilcox at those running back positions, Wetmore and Stuart Hill could apply a lot of pressure, and Wetmore got through to quarterback Kent Austin.
Yeah, you put more manpower in there, and Paul Wetmore, he got a supreme compliment because Obi said he reminds him of Don Moen, and Wetmore's just in his third year. He's really coming along as a linebacker.
Trevathan on the punt return. He's tripped up as he got to the 50-yard line. 3:03 is the time remaining in quarter three. 15-3 is the score. BC in front. The wind has created some interesting patterns with the snow cover on Taylor Field. And the temperature has dropped another degree. It's now -5.
That's how real men play football. Ian Sinclair is out there, and he's got nothing underneath. Just got the bare arm sticking out because he's got to snap the football. He's not even cold.
Well, Bud Grant, when he was the coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, always maintained in November you play in the same equipment you play with in July and August. So if you want to wear gloves and T-shirts in July and August, that's what you wear in November. John Volpe, the ball carrier. This will put him over 100 yards. And remember, we pointed out earlier that whenever Volpe runs for 100 or more yards, the Lions always win. A gallop that time by Volpe of 43 yards.
It's a trap play, and what Volpe does is play the trap perfectly. He saw Jamie Terrace pulling out, and he played that perfectly and broke inside of the pulling guard, and he is off on a great run.
128 total yards for Volpe. He's got the ball again, trying to cut back behind the block, and he gets inside the 10-yard line.
This is a great luxury to have good, solid running backs like Skinner and Volpe going down in slippery weather, rough weather, that you're facing the wind, and you want to eat that clock up so that the other team doesn't have that advantage. And that's what Volpe has given them today, and Chris Skinner is that second punch on the running attack. Obi's got to be happy with that running attack today. That's the difference in the two teams, the ability to run the football.
Everyone has talked all season about Flutie and the passing attack, but what a job Volpe has done running the ball. He's got it again. Touchdown!
Well, there's the nominee for the rookie MVP, and this Volpe, he runs at about 2 feet off the ground. I mean, these guys cannot get down low enough to tackle him, and what a run that he made on that one, because he went underneath a couple of the tacklers and just bowled them over like a bowling ball. Look at him, the way he keeps his feet wide. He knows it's slippery. Look at it come right underneath Eddie Lowe and drive in for the touchdown. That's a football player. That's a real man. Playing in the ice and the sleet and the snow. So what if he went to Stanford? It gets cold in California too.
He has an opportunity to equal the league record of 20 touchdowns in one season. And with 1:23 remaining in the third quarter, the BC Lions have taken control. 22-3 the score, BC leading Saskatchewan.
Nice block by Terrace, but Volpe just does it on his own. I mean, look at him driving through people. Beautiful, beautiful play. Give us that rain, give us the sleet. It doesn't matter.
Are you kidding me?
We can say that. We're up here in the press box. The #1 fans in the CFL have got to be Saskatchewan, because look what they're going through today, and they're still in there. They're still hanging in there tough.
For the Saskatchewan Roughriders, this game will not affect their performance. They are destined to a last place finish in the West. But they are still out in good numbers today, despite the miserable weather, to watch the final home game by their beloved green and white. Jaycox back to his own 28-yard line on the kick return. He is spun around and dropped by Marasco before he got to the 35. 1:15 is the time left in the third quarter. Let's bring in Scott Oak.
Well, Don, earlier, Joe, we're talking about what great fans Saskatchewan Roughrider fans are, and weather like this. Harry Duke seated here in Section 6, season ticket holder for 10 years. And Harry, great day for football in the prairies.
It's beautiful, beautiful in Saskatchewan. You can't get any better than this. They should have the Grey Cup here.
Well, they're not going to, though. They're going to have it in Winnipeg, and Maria Kalitzis, who's in front of you, is going. You're rehearsing for the Grey Cup today, Maria.
Well, of course, we have to get ready for -20. At least today it's only about -3. We might as well start now.
So Florida-like conditions in Saskatchewan today comparatively, you think?
Yeah, oh, I think so.
Thank you both. Don?
Well, with a bottle and a blanket, a lot of people stay comfortable in these conditions.
I'm really envious of those people. I mean, this looks great down there. Scott's having a good time.
Hopefully on the 24th of November, when the Grey Cup game is played in Winnipeg, conditions will be better than we see today at Taylor Field. There is also the possibility, however, they could be worse. Jaycox was the intended receiver. It's incomplete. 37 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 22-3, BC leads Saskatchewan.
I would be remiss to not give credit to some fans of football in Vancouver, because they have to give up their golf, their sailing, their suntanning, and go indoors to BC Place. And actually, BC Place is the #1, I think 42,000 average this year.
Bad snap. Lezecki could not field it, and the BC Lions recovered. Derek McCready was there to pounce on the loose ball. A bad snap appeared to hit Lezecki on the helmet. He wasn't sure where the ball was, but McCready certainly knew where the football was. And with 24 seconds remaining in the third quarter, the Lions take over.
He had to jump for it. Lezecki had to go up for it, and then when it hit, he thought it went behind him, but Derek McCready was the spy on that. He had to make sure the ball was going to be kicked. See him jump for it. Now he doesn't know where it is because it went straight up over his head. McCready's the spy on that. He recovered the fumble. Good field position.
Fake to Volpe. Pass to Trevathan. Touchdown.
And that's Trevathan's first touchdown of the year. I mean, there are receivers on this team that are doing a great job. Trevathan gets a touchdown, and everybody's happy for him. I mean, he's been doing a good job all year. Now he's got 6 points to his credit. Hey, but you got to credit one guy. Volpe's play fake. Flutie's so good at faking the ball. I mean, he bought himself some time. As Doug takes the ball, he fakes to Volpe, and everybody looks for Volpe. That gives them time to get Trevathan across the middle. And he does a belly flopper right in for the touchdown.
And Trevathan was determined to get to that end zone. He saw how close he was, and he dove across the goal line. Lou Pasaglia adds the point after, and that's the final play of the third quarter. The BC Lions comfortably in front. Leading 29-3, the BC Lions not only have a 26-point advantage, but in the final 15 minutes, they'll have the wind at their back. They managed to score 2 touchdowns going against that strong wind. And now shouldn't have much difficulty in controlling the game in the fourth quarter, because the Saskatchewan Roughriders, unlike the BC Lions, have not been able to establish a running attack. Albert Brown returns the kick, starting out from his own 15-yard line, and he's forced out of bounds at the 29. There's also a penalty flag on the play. Only a 15-yard run back by Albert Brown, and we'll wait for referee Dave Ewell to give us the penalty call.
Illegal block. Saskatchewan number 41. First down.
The penalty against James King. Scott?
Don, it's the fourth quarter now in Hamilton, where the weather is much more agreeable. The Argonauts lead the Ticats on a short pass, but a spectacular catch by David Williams. Check this out, falls back and makes it with one hand. This was set up by a big game by Rocket Ismail, and it's 36-31 Toronto.
So the Argos have come from behind. They were down early, 14-0. Willis Jaycox, the ball carrier, out beyond the 30-yard line.
That was a nice run by Willis Jaycox, and he caught the linebackers going with the counter action of Kent Austin.
Calgary now in front, 13-10, as Danny Barrett went over from 2 yards out. Jaycox gets to the outside, breaks the tackle. Up to the 36-yard line. Snow clearing equipment is always vital at any football park in Western Canada at this time of year. And they brought the tractor out and the sweeper to at least mark the sidelines and remove the snow from that area of the field.
Well, that helps the officials on those out patterns and sideline cuts.
Best seats in the house. In the end zone, those fans don't have to worry about overcrowding. 400 net yards for the BC Lions, 247 of them along the ground. Everyone anticipated that it would be a Doug Flutie aerial circus, and perhaps if weather conditions had been different, Flutie might have put the ball in the air more often, but the Lions have had success moving along the ground with John Volpe and Chris Skinner running the ball very effectively. Kent Austin keeps on the third down gamble from his own 40-yard line. 12:54 the time remaining in the fourth quarter.
Well, Willis Jaycox has shown some nice open field ability, and I think that's the key. They've got to string it out, get him to open up the defense, and then let him cut back. That's the only way they're going to make some yards, and it's worked the last 3 plays that he's carried.
Paul Osbaldiston with a field goal, reducing the Toronto lead to 2 points, 36-34. The Argos in front in the fourth quarter. Jaycox takes the football, trying to turn the corner, keeps his feet churning, fights his way out to midfield.
That's sheer determination on Jaycox's part. Stu Hill had him wrapped up. He just does a good job of keeping his feet digging, but if it's not for O.J. Brigance, he might still be running.
O.J. Brigance came across to battle with the would-be blocker Craig Hendrickson trying to make the tackle. Orville Lee on first down gets just a couple of yards. That's a very popular gathering spot today at either bench, that propane heater that both teams are utilizing for players trying to keep warm.
Well, I think there was an old Winnipeg coach who wouldn't let him have that heater, huh? Bud Grant wouldn't approve of that.
Orville Lee takes the swing pass, makes a couple of tackles, and will be close to a first down.
Doug Flutie is always moving. You know, he comes out about an hour and a half before the ball game, does a few drop kicks, runs about 10 laps around the field. I mean, we got offensive linemen. They don't want to run on and off the field. Doug Flutie, he'll run forever. He's a real athlete. I mean, he loves to play any kind of sport. Basketball.
Another third down gamble. Orville Lee won't make it. Oh, now on second effort, he kept on driving, kept those feet moving. It appeared initially as though he was stopped, but he may indeed have it.
I think Orville Lee was worried this guy would have something to say if he didn't make it. Good drive. I mean, he just backed into it and then just drove with his legs and then spun off for the first down.
10:18 remaining in the fourth quarter. Jaycox again. Caught by Bruce Holmes.
Penalty marker on the play.
I said as we started the fourth quarter that Saskatchewan didn't appear to have a ground game anywhere near as effective as BC's, but they have been running the ball in the fourth quarter.
Major foul, face mask, BC number 51, first down.
They're getting things strung out, and that's what they want to do is what they did here. They get the play coming this way with the lead blocker. That makes something work, and I think that's the difference in this half. I mean, they're coming out and getting Jay Cox a chance to go one-on-one with the defender. Then they got to grab his face mask to get him down.
Craig Hendrickson picked up Stuart Hill or the Lee in the draw play. Bruce Holmes with help from Robin Belanger, the safety, stopped the play at the 16-yard line. Don Matthews took over as head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders the day after Bob Abilovich and the BC Lions beat Saskatchewan here at Taylor Field on the 21st of August, 50-47.
Yeah, the onside kick, I think, was the decider in that game.
Jay Cox on second down, breaks the tackle. Several times, the Saskatchewan running backs appear to have been stopped right at the line of scrimmage. They've been able to keep those feet moving and break out of would-be tackles.
Yeah, Jay Cox is not a receiver, really. I mean, his background has been as a running back. And you can see here, Kent Austin handed him the football. He got a nice lead block by Giauskas, and he made some yards. What a nice drive they've had, all the way down against the wind, running the ball.
Jay Cox again. He cuts back, loses the football. It's still loose. The BC Lions knock it out of bounds. So with 8:36 remaining, the Saskatchewan drive comes to an end as the result of a Jay Cox fumble.
Well, there's Paul Wetmore. One of the things that he did that made that play work is as Jay Cox made the cutback, he kept all the way back, and when he fumbled the football here, it broke loose. Watch Wetmore come in out of nowhere. Number 35 beat Stevenson to the ball and saved possession. Now BC's got the football back. That's a nice play by Paul Wetmore.
Robin Belanger is the player who hit Jay Cox, knocking the ball loose. Flutie fumbles the ball on the exchange from center. I believe he got it back. There was a penalty flag on the play as well.
That's one of the nice things about having been a general manager. You look back at some of the guys you drafted and you see them playing well. I think this Robin Belanger, he's a tough character. And, of course, Wetmore was a guy, a steal for a second rounder, and he is playing really well.
BC number 22, decline, second down.
Wetmore played at Acadia and Robin Belanger at McGill.
I think the procedure we talked about facing the clock. I think Flutie was worried about how much time he had on the 20-second clock, and he was moving as the ball was snapped.
Chris Skinner gets up to the 7-yard line. The BC Lions will send in the punting unit. That might have been an ideal position for a quick kick. We saw the quick kick attempt by the Saskatchewan Roughriders on a third down gamble earlier.
I hope that guy doesn't play with that helmet because it doesn't look like it's got much protection. That's Rick Warman. Don't use that helmet. Even if you're a quarterback, that doesn't have the protection you need. Quick kick would have been good, Don. I think at that time you can at least get people off of you. Now Louis going to have a heavy rush.
Bisaglia has handled the wind better than Lazecki this afternoon. Hall from the outside, but Bisaglia is going to concede a safety touch.
And the crowd didn't like that at all. They were really giving up a lot of boos, and that's because Louis stepped out of bounds.
7:29 remains in the fourth quarter. I think the real live Prairie Gophers are smarter than Gaynor. They've hibernated for the winter already.
I don't know. Gaynor seems to be having a good time. He's keeping warm anyway.
Keeping warm has been somewhat difficult this afternoon at Taylor Field in Regina with that strong wind blowing out of the west, the temperature at -5, and snow falling off and on since the start of the game, mostly on. Albert Brown on the kickoff return is stopped as he moves up to the 42-yard line. 7:23 remains in the game. Let's join Scotto.
Tom, we want to remind our audience we've got a doubleheader next weekend that begins following Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night with Hamilton at BC Place to play the Lions, where I'm sure the weather is going to be a little bit better than it is at Taylor Field today. And on Sunday afternoon, we'll be at Skydome in Toronto, where Ottawa closes out the regular schedule against the Argonauts.
Well, we won't have to worry about weather for those two games, both games being played indoors. Jay Cox, the ball carrier. Keith Pohl made the tackle. 7:01 is the time remaining. Doug Flutie came into this game 5 touchdown reception passes away from equaling the mark that was set by Peter Lisk of 40 in 1967. Flutie has thrown touchdown passes today to his brother Darren and to Mike Trevathan. So he's 3 shy of a record. Orville Lee could not hang on to the throw from Kent Austin, who had Stuart Hill all over him.
That's the tough thing, when you get a good throw out there and your receiver drops it and then somebody knocks you down on the ground. That doesn't feel very good as a quarterback. Austin knew he got the ball in his hands. Now he gets thrown down, he gets up, and hey, the guy didn't even catch the ball, and I had to take a hit. Good job by Stu Hill.
Zecchi is kicking into the wind. 29-5 is the score. Kick hangs up. Jefferson takes it, and he's tackled immediately by Tracy Martin. 6:18 is the time left to play at Taylor Field. 29-5, BC leads Saskatchewan. Some of the Rider faithful remain in the stands at Taylor Field on a very cold Sunday afternoon. Many others have already started heading for the exits with 6:18 remaining. The crowd just over 18,000. Many of the fans that normally travel to Saskatchewan games from other communities in the province declined today because of the weather warnings that had been issued prior to the game. Chris Skinner, the ball carrier, he slips as he tries to cut at midfield.
I'll tell you why they're making a lot of yardage off the left side of that BC offensive line. That's because Rocco Romano, Jamie Terrace, and Ian Sinclair, none of them are wearing any sleeves. They're bare-sleeved, short-sleeve shirts. They're out there blocking. Nobody can get a hold of them and try to rush the passer. Skinner slides in for a first down. No, he didn't. He didn't get the first down. They spotted the ball, not his feet.
Ball is spotted at midfield. It will be 2nd and 2 BC. And Volpe is the ball carrier with Tony Kimbrough at quarterback for the BC Lions. 39-34 the final score now. Toronto defeating Hamilton. A wild game at Iverwin Stadium as the Toronto Argos came from behind to win that one. Kimbrough is trying to get that hand warmer on. He has taken over from starting quarterback Doug Flutie, who is going to get the rest of the afternoon off here at Taylor Field. If Bob Obilovich really wanted to be kind to him, he could also send him to the dressing room.
Yeah, give him a warm-up jacket or something. I told you Flutie was smart. Do you want to see how smart he is? He put that warm-up thing on Kimbrough real quick so nobody would change their mind. Keep your hands warm, Kimbrough. He said, stay out there. It's a good game for you to learn, son.
Ball in the Saskatchewan 53.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 53. Chris Skinner dives through to the 45 of Saskatchewan. Basil Proctor made the tackle.
Now, Chris Skinner just followed the nose guard. He did whatever Sinclair wanted him to do, and Sinclair made a nice block. And Chris Skinner broke right under Sinclair's block. Made a lot of yards out of a nothing play.
Chris Skinner now has 102 yards. Volpe 141. A very strong effort by both BC backs today.
And a nice job they're doing blocking for each other. When Skinner gets the ball, Volpe's a good lead blocker. Just the opposite. When Volpe's deep in the I formation, and there, look at those tough linemen. There's Jamie Terrace, Ian Sinclair. Hey, we don't need long sleeves. Let the other team wear those. Now those are real men.
Come on, D, let's go!
There's Sinclair. That's sort of a half block, but maybe he reached around and got a piece of him, but hey, he opened the hole.
It's becoming increasingly difficult, not only for receivers, but also for linemen to maintain their footing. Christensen on the receiving end of the Kimbrough throw, brought down by Suter, but not before he picks up a big first down with 3:20 remaining in the game.
Yeah, Kimbrough had his receivers running their motion, and what he did is he tried to use, as Kimbrough comes out, he tried to use the play fake to Volpe to freeze that defense, and it worked. Christensen made a nice reception.
A gain of 25.
See, if you get the linebackers looking for the run, there's a big hole in the secondary, and that's what they're exploiting today.
The ball is at the 17, 1st and 10. Volpe, touchdown! 158 rushing yards now for John Volpe. That's a career high. And he has been the story for the BC Lions today. Coming into this game, many were looking for the battle between the two quarterbacks, Flutie and Austin, but it's been the John Volpe show.
Oh, this Volpe is something. You've got two running backs that are making over 100 yards in a ball game. You've got control of the ball game. Look at this guy. You got to love him. I don't like him because he's short. I like him because I'm short.
And he is keeping the football as he scores his 20th touchdown of the season. That equals the league record set by Pat Abruzzi and equaled last year by Darrell K. Smith. 2:48 is the time remaining here at Taylor Field. John Volpe now holds the rookie record for touchdowns in a season. That was his 20th. Pat Abruzzi had 19 in 1955, 20 the following year, and Volpe has now equaled the record production for a season. 20 by Abruzzi, equaled last year by Darrell K. Smith of the Argonauts.
He's got to have the record for engineering degree touchdowns too, I think.
Well, for a time this year, it looked as though Blake Marshall of the Eskimos was going to break the single-season touchdown record, but he became stalled at 19 with that unfortunate injury.
You see Jamie Terrace pulling, and then Ian Sinclair knocked the opponent down, and then he signals touchdown. Excuse me, Bob.
2:42 is the time remaining. Jaycox is tackled, and the ball comes loose, but the whistle had already gone. In rushing touchdowns, Volpe and Marshall have each crossed the goal line 16 times. Volpe still has one game remaining, remember.
And he's had 4 receptions for touchdowns, 4 pass receiving touchdowns.
Orville Lee got to the 45-yard line on 2nd down. 2:19 is the time remaining at Taylor Field.
Don't tell anybody this game doesn't mean anything to Saskatchewan. There's a lot of hitting. You can hear the crack of leather. A lot of hitting out there. And BC, it certainly means a lot to them because they still want to be first place. And they can be first place if Calgary doesn't win against Edmonton. If Edmonton wins, BC's got a chance. Everybody will be 2-1 against each other.
Another short kick fielded by Trevathan, and there's a penalty flag on the play. Saskatchewan had hoped to be spoilers in the BC aspirations of a first-place finish in the West, but that has not occurred this afternoon at Taylor Field.
24, first down.
Well, the playoff picture is simple. You just win your 2 games and then hope the other people unsettle. You hope to get some help from Edmonton. Kind of crazy to think that the BC would get some help from Edmonton, but that's exactly what could happen today.
The BC Lions were hoping that the Edmonton Eskimos would win that game today because the BC Lions do have an edge over the Edmonton Eskimos in seasonal meetings between the two in the event that they should wind up tied for first. But Calgary would get first place in the event that the Stampeders and the Lions wind up tied for first place. Next Sunday, Saskatchewan is at Calgary. On Saturday, the BC Lions are at home to Hamilton. 1:56 is the time remaining. Ryan Hansen, the ball carrier.
But take this into consideration, and I'm sure she doesn't remember, but
nor does she care.
Nor does she care. She's just trying to stay warm. Calgary and BC had so many close ball games. I mean, 1 point, as they did with Edmonton. 1 point, overtime.
Ryan Hansen carries again. The ball comes loose. Kim McLeod picked it up. And Tony Kimbrough came up to make the tackle with 1:29 remaining.
Did you see Tony Kimbrough come up and make a tackle? This guy's playing out of position. They got to put him at linebacker. I mean, he came up there and unloaded.
He put quite a hit on McLeod. Watch as the ball comes loose. McLeod will pick it up, and watch number 11 come into your picture right there.
I mean, he let him have it. This guy could play defensive back, linebacker, anywhere he wanted to play.
Kimbrough's upset with McLeod. He wanted to drive the Lions in for another touchdown. He hasn't had many opportunities to play this season, and he's deprived of perhaps putting together a drive by that fumble recovery. Miller makes the tackle on Jaycox. Kimbrough initially came into the Canadian Football League with the Ottawa Roughriders. He was dealt to the BC Lions, and he has really been the backup quarterback this year because he has spent most of the season in that exact position, sitting on the bench.
Yeah, Dave Ridgway was telling me that he doesn't talk to anybody from Western Michigan. Apparently, when he was playing in university, they lost to Kimbrough's team.
Orvalie, the ball carrier, stopped at the line of scrimmage by Stuart Hill with 1:06 remaining. The season winds up next weekend, Hamilton at BC. That's a Saturday game. We'll have it for you on CBC television. On Sunday, Ottawa is at Toronto. We'll have that game for you as well. Also on Sunday, Edmonton at Winnipeg and Saskatchewan at Calgary.
You know, fairness leads me to say this. Vic Stevenson has no sleeves on his jersey either for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the right tackle.
Pressure on Lazecki, but he gets the kick away. Jefferson lets it bounce. Finally picks it up and draws a penalty flag in the process with 46 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock. 36-5. The BC Lions lead the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
What's it going to be here, Dave?
No yard. Catcher number 50. Contract rule, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Talked to Dave Ewell about the penalties on kicking, and he said, you know, we don't like to call a penalty, but they've been so flagrant. He said, you think these guys would learn. And I guess they have to know the penalties will be called. But there's an awful lot of penalties on the kicking game.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 50-yard line. Sean Millington slips out of bounds after a gain of about 4 yards. Well, she has a football, but I don't think that young lady is going to play quarterback this afternoon.
Well, in about 12 years, who knows what could happen.
Gain of 5 on the run at second, 5 balls at center field.
40 seconds remaining. Tony Kimbrough taking over in the 4th quarter from Doug Flutie.
He's ran out of bounds.
Ryan Hansen drives straight ahead. That will be a first down for the BC Lions. The Lions this year lost 2 games by 9 points. One in overtime to Calgary, the other to Toronto. They lost in overtime by 7 points to Edmonton. They lost by 5 points to Calgary. In overtime, 4 points to Calgary, and by 2 points to Saskatchewan. As Bob Obilovich was saying prior to the game, this BC team could easily have a 14-2 record.
Or a 2-14 on some of those other victories have been 1 or 2 points, and they've just played so close in every ball game. And I think the number of ball games they've won by 1 or 2 points is a credit to the character they've got. And I've said it time and again, when Doug Flutie's in the ball game, you've always got a chance. I don't think Doug Flutie's ever lost a game. Time has run out a few times, but I don't think he's ever lost a football game.
Bob Ovilovich had the quote of the year after the Sports Illustrated article on Murray Peasant. He said that article actually belonged in Playboy, not in the sporting magazine. Final play of the football game as Kimbrough simply drops to one knee.